Thank you so much for staying tuned to this frequency. Yes, it's time for us to start off the discussion segment talking about removal of subsidies. Yeah, that is what we really want to take a look at from fuel and electricity, the socio-economic implication, the socio-economic impact of what are Nigerians really expecting when we talk about removal of subsidies. That is like a suggestion. Maybe, just maybe, they are testing the waters. Who knows? Who knows? Anyway, with me here in the studio to talk about this, I have a labor devotee, a legal practitioner, a human rights activist, political analyst. Join me to welcome Barrister Robinson Imade. Welcome to TMI on this edition.
Good morning.
I appreciate your coming.
Good morning.
You just choose to go off the grid for a while.
Well, for a while. I'm back, and I hope fully.
Yeah, it's good to have you back.
Thank you.
All right, there's anybody very close to him. He is a one-time executive director to Edo State government, and of course a one-time councillor in Ego local government, and of course he's an entrepreneur, a political analyst, a human public rights activist, and currently he is the leader of PDP Ward 7 in Ego local government. Join me, welcome Derek Ohumogo. Derek, welcome to TMI on this edition.
Thank you. A very good morning to you.
All right. Well, this is not the first time we're hearing about subsidy removal. But this time around, Nigerians are taken aback because of when it's coming and the price they're expecting to pay if it should fall through. And to compound everything, so to speak, the emotions around this, it's an advice given by the International Monetary Fund, and Nigeria really wants to play ball with the advice given to them by the International Monetary Fund. But before you start your analysis, just hold on. We want to go for a break. When we return, we'll continue with the discussion. Don't go anywhere. Thank you so much for staying tuned to this channel. If you just joined us, this is TMI. Yeah, this morning on ITV, it's all about subsidy removal, socio-economic implications. Joining us right now in the studio, he is a professor in the University of Benin. He is also a political analyst, a surveyor, you just name it, public affairs commentator. Join me to welcome Professor Ralph Ehigato. Welcome to TMI. Sunday's edition. It's been a while.
Yeah.
All right. Derek, I want to start off from you. This is not the first time we heard about subsidy removal, but this is the first time that Nigerians are beginning to take it seriously because of the amount that is involved. Talking about proposal of you getting a fuel, talking about the fuel pump price, and of course removal of electricity tariff that is so strange to Nigerians. I mean, and the proposal is like it's going to start early next year, either January or February. What do you have to say about that?
Well, simply put, subsidy is the money that government or organizations pay to reduce costs on be it production, be it services, and what have you. And this is mostly done to encourage economic growth and development. But in the case of Nigeria, we have over the years seen subsidy that benefits only the well-off, the elites. For example, the fuel subsidy removal have brought about a lot of corruption in the downstream sector of the petroleum industry, so that our refineries doesn't refine almost no petroleum products. We have relied solely on importation of refined petroleum products. Even though we have abundance of, petroleum deposits underground. The factors that I think caused all of this corruption is the lack of will, political will, on the part of our leaders to take the bull by the horn. The leaders of our polity have reneged on their fundamental goals of nation building and now focused more on lining their pockets.
All right.
And that of their associates.
Associates, okay.
This is one of the factors.
All right. We'll dive into some more factors and cause of this discussion. Barrister Robinson, you heard him. He talked about subsidy, gave us a brief definition of what subsidy is. But before this administration came on board, we were like, nothing like subsidy. All of a sudden, they came in and discovered that we have lots of subsidies in petroleum, in electricity. You just name it. And right now, IMF said for your economy to do well, you have to remove these subsidies or else you go under. What's your take on this?
Well, this is what you see and what you get when you have a government that does not believe in what it says. I remember in 2012, when the then government of Goodluck Jonathan attempted to remove subsidy, I can almost still see Muhammadu Buhari. I can almost still see Tunde Bakare, the likes of the current Kaduna State Governor, and a host of others. I'm happy that there is a staunch member of ASU here. I can almost hear what ASU was screaming, what the civil liberties organizations, the various, the many of them, especially the CLO, was saying. I can almost see the Occupy Nigeria, that Lagos was almost taking over. And it is still audible, the voice of Muhammadu Buhari and the likes, saying that if anybody said he was subsidizing petroleum product, the person was a scam. We are not able to speak as freely as we used to do. Otherwise, the new name for our current president would have been scam, because he said, I have not said he is, please let me talk.
Okay,
I said we are no longer as free, just like you're interjecting now. If he mentioned to Nigerians and the whole world that if anybody said petroleum product was subsidized, that it was a scam, and he's trying to subsidize and he has been subsidizing, is it not plus and minus to say this person, you are a scam?
Well, we don't want to say Mr. President is a scam.
I have not said he is. I said if we had the freedom that we used to have.
All right, now since you don't have the freedom, let's continue.
We would have changed his name to a scam. But that aside, you see that this government, a government that has no economic team, that has no core economist in the cabinet, cannot but be adrift and listen to whatever voice. I know that the current government has little or nothing to say about the IMF and the World Bank's position, whether we like it or not, because we are also shameless as a people. I say we, including me. We can afford to tell Nigerians about subsidy. And we say it in the most crude and irresponsible manner. For example, you want to remove subsidy from petroleum products. Subsidy from 2016 to 2019, 16, 17, 18, 19, 4 years, is put at about, according to them, 2.9 trillion.
Yeah. And
right now, you want to help that situation, you want to ensure that things get better. You are talking about giving 5,000 naira.
We'll come to that.
Okay.
We'll come to that.
No means that the mathematics don't add up.
We'll come to that aspect.
It shows that we have a visionless government. We have a government that takes Nigerians for a ride. We have a government that does not remember what it says in the morning when evening comes.
All right.
So the subsidy thing is what we must all oppose and resist.
All right. Now, if you use the word visionless, many people have different opinions about that.
That was the constant in the mouths of all those in government today.
Well,
they saw the previous administration as clueless and visionless, and I've not seen any administration in the whole world that is more clueless and visionless as this one.
Anyway, they are not clueless; they have visions. Okay, let's go on to the next level. As a prof and of course a member of ASU, were you shocked hearing that pronouncement that it may happen next year?
I want to, before I comment, let me give you a little background. I happen to work for Shell 10 years in the upstream sector. So I know the process of looking for crude. Go to exploit and power, for all people involved, live for crude oil in this country right now. But I'm shocked with what is happening in this country. That, just for example, you have a cassava farm, cassava farm. You go to cassava, you go to your farm and remove the cassava you want for production. Instead of producing in Benin, you take it to Lagos and produce in Lagos and bring the same cassava here. I don't know whether you have added to the cost or not. This is the problem we're having. We have crude oil abundant in this country. No government, from Abacha time to where we are now, has been able to revive our refinery. Now, when you get oil from this country, for Nigeria, you sell it to anywhere overseas, you produce and send back to us. You have added cost to it. That's in my view, that's something we are paying for. And this government, just before they entered, told us that there's nothing like subsidy. You know, this is sometimes when you invite me, I don't want to come, you say I should not mention name, but I'll mention them this time. Laila, you know, everybody will know
Mohammed, you mean?
Like Mohammed, I'm sorry, yes, like Mohammed. We know what he was saying. But this is where we are. They have entered the scenario. We are not happy with what happened. In fact, Nigeria has never been like this. From crude oil to gas to electricity to what call it, dollar and I've never seen. I don't understand. If you say you want to increase one price at this time, when food and services are not affordable, your salary, I told my wife, my salary, you cannot take to the gate. You understand? And this is what you are going to increase one price to 320 to 340. We are going to be in a mess in this country. Yesterday, I was reading something from Poland. Poland just said yesterday that they want to reduce fuel pump to fight inflation. Now Nigeria, we are saying that the inflation is at about, I don't know, it's something, 6 something now percent. Yeah. You want to increase pump by next year. What happened to our goods and services?
Okay. All right.
So we are in this government we are in now has turned Nigeria to where we have never been. The problem I'm having now is wherever I will take off from these people 2023, that's a lot of things to do. We're in a mess.
All right. All right, gentlemen, I know this topic is quite emotional. I like to crave our intelligence to please watch our emotions. People be like, Wilson, you can't talk about my jump problem without being emotional. I understand, but let's just try to watch our emotions, okay? Derek, you've heard both of them, of course. You're the one that raised the curtains to this discussion. But if you take a look at what they are saying, that the load on the government is too much, occasioned by subsidy. For them to really have this footing on the ground to work on the economy, they have to remove the load they are carrying. Vis-a-vis, take a look at gas. No subsidy in gas. According to them, that's why the price keep increasing astronomically. Even in other climes, yes, it's going up. But take a look at petrol and, of course, electricity. They say they've been bearing so much to save cost and to salvage the economy. They have to do it. I don't think they're making a point in this.
Well, speaking from a dispassionate point of view, removing subsidy from petrol and electricity, which the French will call going towards approaching laissez-faire, or we call it laissez-faire. These are characterized by free markets, approach in governance, trying to remove your hands from factors of production as much as you can, so that you can focus more on collecting taxes. Concerning Nigeria as a nation, if, like I said, we have good leadership, this wouldn't have been a problem. It wouldn't have been a problem at all. The capitalist system have over the years benefited Europe and America. And the approach that these different countries in Europe and America have maintained in approaching extreme capitalism matters a lot. For example, around 1970, Poland and Hungary decided to bring about radical reforms in their economic sector of the nation. And the government decided to remove its hands from factors of production as much as possible. Only Hungary benefited from this process a little bit. Poland, because of their high rate of corruption, hardly benefited from it. So my point is that no system of economy is bad, and no system of economy is also good. All that matters is your approach to it. China, for example, is practicing a mixed system of economy, where government and citizens own factors of production. Governments have a lot of interference in issues of production. You can see it from how they started to muscle this popular billionaire, the owner of Alibaba, who was among the richest people in the world a few years ago, until Lee Kuan Yew's government started to strangulate him because he was interfering, trying to drag China forcefully to becoming a system, to embrace the kind of system that America is operating. So the mixed system of economy have favored China, whereas the capitalist system have favored America. So we cannot say both systems are not good. Nigeria is lucky to have embraced a mixed system of economy I think from the time that we gained independence. And the beauty about the mixed economic system is that government will be able to checkmate, the excesses of extreme capitalists, those who value profits too much. And that way they will also in turn be able to take care of their citizens' welfare.
Are you saying that they're on the right track? What you're saying?
They would have been on the right track if we are not a corrupt nation. For example, the 5,000 naira that they said they will release to cushion the effect in terms of transportation will not get to the hands of the poor masses, judging by previous statistics.
Okay.
You know, so if the masses that the government is supposed to protect are not, you know, feeling that joint ownership of a nation's economy, then there is a problem. So the country, first of all, what they should have done before this subsidy is to put their house in order. How do you put your house in order? First of all, you'd have ensured that Nigeria is balanced, is able to refine their crude. Just like Professor lamented just now, we are a nation that have abundance of crude oil, yet we are not able to refine. So they would have tried to ensure that our refineries are functional and to have aggressively pursued the private enterprise, giving them some support towards setting up other refineries so that our petroleum products will be refined here. That's number one. Then, in relation to electricity, sir. Yeah. Electricity. Statistics also show that Nigeria spent about between 250 to 350 billion naira around the year 2006 to 2009 to subsidize electricity. Subsidizing electricity also is not bad, but you see, when the subsidizing electricity...
That was before or after privatization?
I said 2006, 2009.
Okay.
I cannot say for sure.
All right.
So if we spent this amount to subsidize electricity, yet it has not benefited the productive sector of the Nigerian economy, will you say that is good or bad for the economy? Okay. If also we have spent so much to subsidize electricity, and there are some areas in Nigeria, although they have wiring, electrical wiring to their house, but for months, they would not have access to electricity. Will you say this is favorable or not? So I think it is better if Nigeria puts its house in order, remove corruption, and after removing corruption, stabilize these industries. Then you can now decide to remove subsidy so that it can run, you know,
itself.
Yes.
You have this explanation, quite lengthy, but he made several points. It's like he's saying that removal of subsidy is not an issue if the system is okay. But taking a look at Nigeria as a country, is this the right time?
Well, the right time is the wrongest of times, because in the first instance, like I said earlier, it's shocking that the government of Muhammadu Buhari be talking about subsidy, which to the man and his people never existed. That's one. Two, it would have been the right time if, like was promised by the APC as a party, and Muhammadu Buhari as presidential candidate then, if every year they had built one refinery and we are refining our products. It would have been a good time to do it if our 4 existing refineries were working in full capacity today. No time would have been better than this time if Nigerian workers have living wage today. The professor said his salaries, his take-home pay cannot even take him to the gate. If that is true at the level of ASU, and I know that the negotiated salary of ASU is a little bit higher than that of the federal civil servants, then you can think of the state and local government workers. It would have been a good time if Muhammadu Buhari and his administration had left the prices of food, other commodities, the way they meant it. For example, so much money, billions of naira, was sunk into the production of rice after the banning of imported rice. And today, yesterday, on Friday, I just got 2 bags of local rice, locally produced rice, for 30,000 naira each. Whereas the imported ones that he said was too expensive and not good enough for us, which I know they eat in Aso Rock, was at 8,500 naira when he came aboard.
Yes.
It would have also been the best of times to remove subsidy if this government has fought corruption and has not, as was the mantra when they were coming in, and has not encouraged corruption in all phases of Nigeria existence. It would have been the best of time to remove subsidy if Nigerians could afford at least 2, not 3 square meals a day. When all of these indices are not there, and we keep, refining our crude oil outside Nigeria, forgetting all the byproducts that would have helped us here. If the pump price that was 86 or 87 naira per liter when they came in has now become 140 something, and they are thinking of making it 340, then you can be sure that it will take an evil administration to think of removing subsidy at this time. In any case, is Muhammadu Buhari, has he come out to apologize to Nigerians to say, oh, I made a mistake, I thought there was no subsidy. Now we are subsidizing so much. The Jonathan administration that was so castigated by this administration never subsidized to the tune that this administration has done from the day one of its existence. It is taking Nigerians for a ride. And I'm shocked that the list that we have, the religious leaders who forgot about their congregants and their constituents to come up to protest each time there was going to be a move that would have helped this country, are today quiet. I'm shocked that Labour now makes more noise and we get little or no action. I'm shocked that ASU is complacent with getting the much that has been given recently and not talking with strong voice about this attempt to remove subsidy. I'm not happy that we can no longer protest as we used to do, because if you do, people will organize miscreants to come and hijack the protest. I'm shocked that our religious leaders are not talking. What is going to happen by the removal of this subsidy is that inflation will skyrocket to about 1,000%. We are just not even living, we are merely struggling to exist. And by the time you remove this subsidy, you would have nailed the coffin on Nigerians. And this administration would not care, because El-Rufai has said, oh, subsidy was removed from diesel. Nigeria did not fall. It was removed from kerosene, it did not fall. Today, people are going back to firewood, and we are talking about the depletion of the ozone layer. This is a government that has nothing to tell Nigerians, to show Nigerians that it cares for the welfare and well-being of the people. The security of the people also has been bastardized.
All right. We will come back to you shortly. But I believe that the government of the day, they are trying to really think outside the box to make Nigeria stable vis-a-vis removal of a subsidy. Now, they talk about cushioning the effects of subsidy removal. For instance, they're proposing 5,000 naira to really take care of some other aspects of the society when subsidy is removed. You are a prof. I believe you have done the maths and all that. What do you feel about this?
Let me just look at it. When we say refine crude oil in our country, in Nigeria, there are a lot of benefit. This gas we are talking about is a product of crude. Electricity generation will be gotten from the gas we are calling from that same crude oil. So it is all together. So that's number one. So let me go back to your question. This is not the first time we are hearing this kind of promises. Remember when I don't know how I was in university then, when Abacha was in power. We saw this thing, you know. But Buhari, Buhari was the EPD of that time. It was the chairman. Or when the prices of petrol was increased, so also the particular fund that was reserved for development of this country. This our president was the chairman then. What happened? When Jonathan became the president, when there was an increase, Okojo promised they're going to do some cushion effect. Do you see the cushion effect? During COVID, we were told that people that were at home were being fed. So I don't understand. So we know where we are going to. You know the answer.
I don't know the answer. I'm just asking the question.
You know the answer. So it is not going to work as usual. It's under scam. So this is where we are. APC government they are not trying. We voted for this because at the time, including me, I was tired of the arrogance of PDP. We said this according to though when I was young then when they doing military era I was the military president of the country, even head of state, and we know what happened. Many people saw him, including me, saw him, but okay, it could change this narrative. I remember one day he said on television that the money you put on you left your bank, before you know you turn to paper. Then dollar was saying as 150 then, 150 or 1 something, I don't know. But where are we now? 574. So when somebody says change, you have to ask the person, what type of change are you talking of? It could be positive and it could be negative. But where we are, which you call the answer. You know where we are now.
I'm the one asking the questions. I'm the one asking the questions.
We are in a total mess. I'm sorry for this country. I'm sorry for this country. Our children cannot get good education. Our children cannot, when you graduate from university, you can't get good work. You can't get work. They are dying in the sea, try to cross to look for greener pasture. So these are the combination of a lot of things. When you see, if they succeed, God will not want it to increase this pump price to 330, 320, and 340. This country will win.
All right. I will come back to you, Prof. Well, you gave, Derek, you gave a very, according to some persons, utopic, a time frame, so to speak, to have subsidy removal. You talked about killing corruption first. You talked about also allowing the economy to run itself. Then you can remove subsidy. As a Nigerian, from what you are seeing, do you think before February next year, do you see the country killing corruption so that we can remove the subsidy from what you just said?
Well, I don't think that is possible, owing to the fact that the folks who are geared with the responsibility of tackling corruption are neck deep in corruption. You know, so you cannot heal someone of a disease that you suffer from. Nigeria, as a country, have over the years suffered from poverty of leadership. We have failed to build and strengthen our institutions. We have continually vested authority and power on individuals. Till now, you still see what an average political leader strives for is to becoming a bully to those that have elected them into a position of authority. The first thing they will acquire is a pickup van, which we popularly call Hilux, and they will mount it with siren. They will hire 1 or 2 security details who will go ahead of them to bully people, they maybe flog those who are on their traffic paths. As they are moving on the road, they expect you to just highlight, to park your vehicle so that they freely go. And the blame siren, woo, up and down. You know, I don't understand why this is not so repulsive, you know, to this leadership. So we as a people, as a nation, vested power authority on individuals instead of institutions. So we need to go back to the drawing board. First of all, to put stringent measures and come about legal reforms that will punish leaders more for crimes than ordinary people. For this country to grow, for it to develop, we need to also strengthen, like I said, strengthen institutions. Can you imagine IMF being the one to recommend for us what our economic, outlook should be like? Is that not insulting? And remember, IMF will not just want to intrude into your economic affairs except you have gone to ask them for something. So this might have been a condition that they will give to the government, or they have given to the government, for government to access facilities. And the last time I checked, I might be wrong, with that we are servicing debts with more than 50% of our earnings. So I don't know where we are. Some days ago, we learned that China, one of our benefactors, when we go cap in hand to collect loans, to do projects that will not materialize into anything good. How can you be talking about rail system when people are poor? And the same rail system are being butchered. The rail tracks right now are being butchered by scavengers to sell back to the people who refurbish or melt iron into other metal products. So how will it work? You put a rail track on the ground, you spending billions of dollars that you took as loan from China to develop. And with the look of things, this will not even last 10 years. Because poor people will go there and continue to butcher that rail tracks because of its steel contents and sell. And after a few years, the railway system will no longer work. And we are indebted to China for building that rail system. So we must come about laws, strong laws, to punish corrupt leaders, much more than poor men who are trying to find something to eat. And for example, in China, the penalty for corruption for government official is death.
Is death. Okay.
I think it applies same to Japan. And in countries like America and Europe, where government officials are corrupt, they serve long-term jail, sentence. But here in Nigeria, it is not so. So we encourage corruption, to the detriment of the generality of the people, and we are failed to bring about ownership of the Nigeria project among all of us. It's only the rich that owns this country.
All right, thank you so much. That's your last line on this discussion, because almost 45 minutes, beg your pardon, 55 minutes, we're talking about this. And we have other persons waiting, in-house sponsors that are around right now. Though we have other segments also to really talk about this same issue. Barrister, he said opposing corruption before February or January so we can remove subsidies is not attainable. Some are already talking tough. NAS is talking tough. NLC also beginning to lend their voice gradually. Do you see all this particular reaction making the government of the day to change their mind about subsidy removal from fuel and electricity?
Well, talking about fighting corruption before the date fixed, I can assure you that if this administration stays for 200 years, it cannot fight corruption.
You are not sure of that? Come on, 200 years like a long time.
For 200 years, if this APC administration, God gives them the grace to remain alive and in government, they will not fight corruption, because at that time, corruption would have been a household name like it.
But they are fighting corruption already.
That's all right.
The mantra is a fight against corruption.
Yes, just now, a government that has not fulfilled one of the very many promises, electoral promises and manifesto, cannot be relied upon for anything. I don't believe when Muhammadu Buhari's administration says a thing that it will do, that it will be done. He just mentioned that the dollar is now 574 naira to the naira, but he promised Nigerians that it will be 1 naira to $1. So I think that this time around, given the hardship that we are all suffering in Nigeria today, that the combination of all the various groups, the labor, the NANS, the civil societies, and the likes, will force this government to bow down. But Buhari does not listen. I don't even think he hears.
Well, you can't say he doesn't listen. He listens and he hears.
Okay, but he does not bother about.
Well, he bothers also.
Okay, so you he does. Because you are laughing. So I think that he may go ahead. Yeah. But if he goes ahead, I cannot guarantee that Nigeria will be in one piece.
All right, Prof, your last line.
Now, thinking about what, look at. I read a post yesterday. I don't know, I didn't verify it. So we have about 10,500 professors in this country. The annual budget for this
Are you one of them?
I'm one of them. The annual budget is 4.8 billion naira for this 10,500 professors. We have 469 senators, including rep. The annual budget is 128 billion naira. How that the most educated sector of people in this country, or the elite country, is a professor. You can see the differences. So this is where we are. As my brother just said, I don't have any confidence in this government. I do not believe that any magic will happen before 2023. According to him, if they stay for 200 years, I said 201 years. Let me just add 1 year to it. It will be the same story.
All right.
These guys do not listen to the plight of Nigeria. They have never fulfilled 1% of their promises. I want to quickly react to what my brother said on Ray. It is criminality for somebody to remove the track, because overseas people travel more using rail track than road. That's why you see that overseas you have less accidents and other. From a school in Russia, from Moscow to Vladivostok, it's 8 days by train. You understand? So you enjoy it. You sleep. But for people going there, our Nigerians going to that rail to destroy it, it is what do you call it? Is terrorism.
Terrorism.
Yes.
And what led to it? What led to it?
Poverty.
Exactly.
No. Poverty cannot say you should go and steal.
Poverty.
Poverty should not say go and kill people. You do know what will happen to if there's any train mishap? Do what will happen to them, our brothers?
So
it's criminal.
Let me quickly tell you, sir. You talked about, you tried to juxtapose the budget for the 10,600 and more professors vis-a-vis the legislators 109 or so.
128 billion.
Okay, I can tell you that the amount voted for the presidency alone in the 2022 budget is higher than that voted for all your professors. For only Buhari.
Well, you cannot say only, but this was presidency. We have the ministers, we have the SSAs, we have we have many of them also following him.
The president's food, the president's Medicare, the president's local travels, the president's international travels, the president's what they call it, general spendings is higher than what all the professors in this country will get.
All right, well, gentlemen.
Excuse me. I think give you a contract. You are talking like them.
I'm not talking like them. I'm trying to balance this discussion. Please, for the regulation government, we want to go for a break. Okay. When we return, we'll continue with this talk. Don't go anywhere. Do stay tuned.
Thank you.
The law, as beautiful as it is, can be very, very intricate. So you need a program that helps you unbundle legal issues. Don't get caught on the wrong side of the law. Let our array of articulate and experienced lawyers walk you through your rights and, well, responsibility. Watch Law and You on independent television. Know your rights and stay informed. Now you know it is legal to watch Law and You here on independent television every Monday at 3:30 p.m. West African time with me, Uyi Agumofwegbe. Law and You, know your rights.
Thank you so much for staying tuned, taking a look at, we are rather taking a look at the socio-economic implication and subsidy removal, because right now talking about removal of subsidy from fuel and of course electricity. That is what we are taking a look at, socio-economic implication. People are like saying that we have alternatives other than removing subsidy. There are things that we can really do as a nation to buffer the economy, to make it, to stop sliding into anarchy, according to some persons. The problem of subsidy removal, what other options do we have, Derek?
Well, the first option I think we have as a nation is to accelerate the process of bringing about petroleum refineries in our country. I hear there's a very massive one being built in Lagos State at the moment. I think government can do everything possible to the extent of giving grants and loans, very soft loans, to capable hands to setting up, refineries in the country, because it is clear that government can no longer handle issue of refining petroleum products in the country. I think that is number one. Then number two, there was a move being made by Edo State government in partnership with some private enterprise towards bringing electricity, 24 hours electricity, bringing about 24 hours electricity in Edo State. I know that met a lot of stiff resistance from BEDC at some point. So I think government also needs to work on deregulating the electricity industry so that people who have the resources can invest in electricity. They can carve out an area and give it to them and monitor the effectiveness of their electricity production and generation for that particular area. And once they are able to do well in that area, they can expand, and once government removes its hand, encourages process of people coming into these two industries, you will be surprised that price might still remain the same or increase slightly more, and availability of petroleum products and electricity to the people will still be something that we can still achieve.
All right. Barrister Robinson, you heard him. He talked about, doing the right thing, talking about total removal of, government interference. But we as Nigerians, we are thinking that since, they prioritize what we used to call NEPA then, all these things will be a thing of the past. I mean, how come we still have subsidies in electricity? For fuel, maybe we're going to be hearing about that. But for electricity, for crying out loud, I mean, it's hitting the two core things that the masses base their survival on.
Well, talking about electricity, the more you try to understand the government of the day, the more confused you become. Because the government does not even understand itself. Recently, we were told that a national mass metering program or something, NMP, was in place, and that in the first instance, 1 million meters will be given to Nigerians free of charge. It was to be followed by 4 million meters to be given to Nigerians free of charge. And we were told that over 1 trillion naira was borrowed from the Central Bank of Nigeria by the federal government to ensure that these meters went on. I don't know anybody here who has a free meter. I don't have. All right. Maybe we'll see.
I don't have any perimeter, please.
Okay, so we don't have. And we are told already that over 900, in the first instance, over 900,000 people got, and the second phase was going on. And at the end of the day, recently too, we were told that a price of one phase meter will now be close to 60,000, and the three phase over 100,000. You know, it becomes difficult to understand this government. Like I said, the government doesn't even understand itself. It just wakes up and says anything, and Lai Mohammed comes to defend it because that's his job.
Oh, well, they don't wake up and say anything. They come out after months deliberation to say something.
Okay, they don't just wake up to say. They in their sleeps talk to Nigerians, and so you won't blame them. We are not angels.
Please,
so
Barrister, they do constructive consultation, please.
Okay. If they do constructive consultation, we are where we are. I don't know. So the point is, we have had in the last 4 years at least 3 increases in the electricity tariff. We have a government now that does not care how we take what. It just happens. You go to buy today, so now so it be now. Even the petroleum, it is becoming topical because they are talking about moving in from the 87 to emit it to 340. Otherwise, this year alone, I'm sure that the cost of the pump price of fuel has increased at least 2 times. At least 2 times. We don't bother. Nigerians no longer bother. And the greatest problem is that the workers still have a salary. People still earn 30,000 naira. The very lucky ones amongst the workers. There are states that have not been able to pay the minimum wage, 30,000 naira. A salary that cannot buy a bag of rice. In this country before, we had the housing scheme by federal government. Today, a bag of cement is in the neighborhood of 4,000 naira. So you receive your salary, you want to buy, even if your community gives you free parcel of land, your salary cannot buy 6 bags of cement for you. So we are at a crossroad. And I don't see how this government, with due respect, can save the situation. They came in on very constructive, very important mantras: fire security, ensure the economy becomes better, and the likes. And they have all gone far worse than they met them. So I think that the solution to all of this, if it were possible, okay, I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that they vote chase out the APC. I don't want to say that. But I think that the solution will be looking inwards, ensuring that refineries are working, ensuring that those we say are illegally refining are encouraged to do so. So the product will be in abundance. We still flare gas. As we speak, we still flare gas. We burn gas away. And we cannot trap it to use in our kitchens. We have a government that is, with due respect, almost bereft of ideas. And for about 200 million people to look up to such a government is being in the worst state of disillusionment. I think that Nigerians must know that whoever is saying, I want to come lead you, must be somebody you trust, will match his pronouncement with performance. I don't blame my dear General Muhammadu Buhari, because under his word, we are talking about the Petroleum Trust Fund.
Yes.
We know what happened at that time.
Yes.
When he was military head of state before he was booted out by a coup, we know what we were going through.
Yes.
Going to queue for essential commodities. Essential commodities then meant bread, meant Bonvita, meant Omo, detergent. We know what we suffered. And for Nigerians to bring such a man back because he threatened that both baboons and whatever will be soaked in the blood, we made the mistake.
He has repeated that statement.
He couldn't
he repeated the statement. So please, let's be
So at the end of the day,
yes,
he is being himself.
Anyway.
He is being himself. And what Buhari has not changed. He represents the other side of good.
No,
And that's what we are.
Barrister,
I have not said
Barrister,
he is
calm down.
bad.
I know, calm down.
The other side of it will be better.
You're beginning to get emotional right now.
Okay,
Calm down,
but
because according to report, he's doing his best. He feels
Whose
the plight of
report are you listening
Nigerians.
to?
He feels the pains. He feels the pang. So let's leave it at that, okay?
It's okay. He is doing so well. That's why the economy has collapsed on him. That's why security has collapsed on him. That's why every aspect of nation will no longer exist as it should be under his watch. He is doing so well.
All right, thank you.
To you, sir.
Well, thank you. I didn't say that. I just said he's doing his best. Well, Prof, you're going to have your last line on this. Apart from this removal of subsidy, what do you think we can do to buffer the economy?
My friend, I just said, if we're talking of dollar shortage in this country, and that quick access to revenue generation in the country is to encourage states like Edo, like Bayelsa, like Rivers, Akwa Ibom, that has oil, to invest on refinery.
You won't agree.
The refinery we are talking about now will give us oil. The gas we are looking for will have it.
Be available.
The petroleum that's an issue, we will have it. So when we have all this, but now if the cost of, if you say crude oil is sold at $70, you know what the barrel is?
Drone.
So, and that barrel has all those companies I have mentioned, including some bitumen, at least with they're out there.
There's hardly any waste.
So you will know, all those things, you take it from this country, go and refine, bring only petrol.
And pay so much.
Because if you take cargo from here to maybe South Africa, I don't know where they are bringing it from, and back, there's a to and fro cost. So these are the issues. Let us invest on refining our own product. Is it not? I don't think about it. I feel something will be wrong with us. How can we have the raw material, send it to Japan or whatever country they send it to, refine and bring back to us, and we are saying we are paying subsidy? It doesn't add up at all. It doesn't add up. I schooled in Russia. Russia has a lot of oil. I left Russia in 2013. Chicken, you know those Russian chicken? It is 100 ruble. The leg down, they just remove the intestine. I went there, 2018. It was 100 ruble.
No inflation.
100 ruble is 500 naira. Chicken that is how much is chicken here, my brother?
8,000.
So where are we talking about?
All right.
It is very sad that we always enter government of one chance. I don't know how we got to be where we are. I got to Shomole. I think Nigeria are making a mistake. He said the benefit of a bad leader is not to be given a second chance. And we did it unknowingly.
No, the second chance.
Let's leave that for the politicians. Whether it was stolen or given, we do not know. Well, you've heard them. Ask is to report back to you. But just know that whatever affects you, affects us, affects everyone here. But we have to follow the regulations governing the airwaves. The proposal states that early next year, subsidy will be removed from electricity and fuel. If it happens, that means from calculation or by calculation, a little fuel may go above 300. What about electricity? You know the price of gas now. How do you think this will translate to the economy? Is it going to be an Owambe right now for Nigerians, or gnashing, weeping, wailing? We don't know how this will pan out, but I believe that Labour, they are watching, NAN's watching, everyone is watching. Let's see what really happened. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your opinions. I know this is quite emotional. We have to watch our emotions. I appreciate your wonderful analysis. Their comments, theirs, but it is best possible to follow rules and regulations govern the airwaves despite the nature of this kind of discussion. If Nigerians are saying no to this, do you think that the people should come first in governance? Are the people coming first in governance? That's a question for our leaders to answer. Is it about you or the people? What do you think will become of the economy? What will become of the people? Because right now, some states can't even pay 30,000 naira, and now you're increasing fuel and electricity. Do the maths. Is it going to be hallelujah joy? Or, I don't know. We'll go on a break. We'll be right back. Just stay tuned.